Mike McClain, the NAACP Louisiana State Conference president. And we're coming to you live from Instagram, the radio station 106.1, and your favorite social media outlets. Join us today as we talk about things that matter to you. My host, co-host, Eugene Collins.
All right, we are here live with your co-host Eugene Collins alongside our statewide convention president, President Michael McClanahan, who has forgot to put his wireless mic on here. There we go.
Slide Gene, that over. Moving up. Moving up. Gene ain't had this before, Gene.
No, we ain't had none of this before, so you know how that is. So, man, we jumping right in today, man. And President McClanahan, we had an election yesterday. T.K. Kent was seeking city court judge alongside with Mr. Carson Marcantel, and Carson pulled that election out last night. I think it was, 61% to 39%. And, you know, the hard thing about that particular race is that there was a real opportunity to turn a seat that normally isn't held by an African-American into one of those seats. And I feel like we probably missed the ball there in making that happen. But nonetheless, the sister ran an incredible race. But President McClanahan, that leads me into my first question here in this show. And you've been around this for a long time. Why aren't folks voting?
Eugene, if we had the answer to that great question, man, I'm telling you and I, man, would have a company, man, bigger than anything, bigger than Amazon, bigger than Walmart. But I can tell you, Gene, you quote the high numbers of those percentage points that he won by. But only 11.9% of the persons eligible to vote in this particular race came out to the polls to vote. 11.9%.
So 11.9%. And when you look at that, there has to be a most certain disconnect between the people and voting when you look at it, 11.9%. And in a race that was so important to, you know, our community. Because when you look at city court judge, like, most of us ain't gonna ever really get to the federal court stuff. We're not gonna make it to the 19 JDC, a good number of us, right? But we are gonna go to court for traffic tickets. We are gonna go to court for all of these things. And it just seems like an election that we possibly just slept on when we had a real opportunity to get in. And not everybody. Some of us did push it, right? And her team did a phenomenal job. She did a phenomenal job running the race. I mean, they were out working hard, you know, and Carson, congratulations to him. But it was a real opportunity to take one of those seats that really matter. Because you know, President McClanahan, you and I talk about this all the time. And to continue to beat each other up over what we call black seats doesn't really equal progress for us. You know, we got to have more folks willing to step out there and challenge some of these non-traditional seats that normally we don't get. And really to extend what progress really looks like, you know, in my opinion, and we just didn't get that. And
yeah, I mean, Eugene, you're so right. You know, the thing that any election at this point in the year, any given year, December, you're up against, you know, an off election. There was only one item on the ballot. There was nothing that would have gotten voters excited to come to the polls. There's nothing that should get people excited other than just the right to vote. You know, I say if you have a homeowners association meeting, you should go there to vote. If your children are running for something in school, you should encourage them to vote. We should always be in the habit of voting. I haven't missed an election. I can't remember if I missed one or when it was. It's been so long. I tried to get to the polls. But clearly, you know, Carson I've been knowing for a while. I consider him a friend. I've been knowing him a lot longer than I've known TK. But you're right. She ran a good race. I got to know her over the course of this election. She's knocked out, knocked down. Anything that she needs on this end, I'll be more than happy to help her. And the voters should know, the people of Baton Rouge should know, we have a whole lot of TKs around. We just need to avail ourselves of them and vice versa. because you know, she's been around a while, but really no one knows about her. But I think this election she came out, so we want to continue to encourage her to seek office at some point in time where she knows she will fit in. But clearly, she's on the scene now. She shouldn't be taken lightly anymore.
Oh no, not likely. I mean a phenomenal race. I went to some of those judges forums they had, and she presented herself well throughout. So and that had an incredible showing. So, congrats to both candidates.
Yeah.
TKO running a great race, who has a definite future in politics.
Gene, I wanted to
Yeah.
know, you know, because she was on our show a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I know she kind of told us that she loves playing the
Piano, yeah.
and that she likes cooking. And one thing that she talked about cooking was gumbo. And I wanted this to still mean that we'll get her some gumbo if any chance you know about
Oh,
that.
President McClellan, she didn't promise that gumbo. So if she watching here today, we ain't letting her renege on that gumbo. She said she was gonna cook gumbo and play the piano, and we holding her to that no
Right,
matter what.
right.
We holding
All
her
right,
to that.
TK, we hold you to it now. Brought you on.
Yeah, and President McClellan, and I get you what you say with voting, right? Is that we just have to vote, but you know what we're finding is a largely burnt out voter base that says, okay, well, I've been voting for 30 years, ain't nothing changed, and my community still look the same. And especially in the midterm election where they don't have a lot of money on the ground behind it, one of these special elections where there's not a lot of money on the ground pushing people to go vote. At a time when we're seeing them actually have some success with this in New Orleans. I mean, they unseated a 17-year sheriff last night in New Orleans. I mean, so just yeah, she won, but that was through voter mobilization, and they're doing a great job with it down in New Orleans. Now I hear the arguments on all sides is that there's a ton more resources to mobilize voters in New Orleans as compared to a city like Baton Rouge, but still, it seems to be working in some cities, and you're finding that equals more progressive candidates. But in Baton Rouge, it doesn't seem to be moving the populace towards voting, and I don't get why.
Baton Rouge is a strange place. You have so many. You have that the crab and the bear mentality. You know, we don't support one another. You have to go to church with me. My children have to go to school with your children. We have to live in the same neighborhood, if not on the same block. You know, those type of things for us to rally around just voting around candidates and encouraging people to vote for these candidates. New Orleans is the mecca of civil rights, you know, the mecca of equal rights, the mecca of human rights. But Baton Rouge is just a strange place because it's always been a bigger plantation for the state. And the slave mentality is here and live and well in all facets of it. And you know, you speak to it like you're an outsider. I am, because I wasn't born here.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I feel like I'm on the fringes, so I can speak to those issues because I see them. I see, you know, north versus south, east versus west. You know, I was on a podcast a couple of years ago, and the guy was talking about classism and racism, you know. But classism amongst black folks is alive and well, even more so, man. That's
Way
what
more.
separates us from being unified. That classism, you know, because I might have gone to another school, I might live in a different neighborhood and all that, man. But we don't look at one another as one. We look at it as you and me. And when we change that mentality, we will start to make inroads, but we haven't gotten there yet. New Orleans been there, long gone.
Yeah, you talk about classism, 'cause, you know, we always say, man, there's one color that really matters today, and that's green.
Yeah.
You know, the black and white, when you start mixing green in, matters a lot less. You know, even just the voting side of things, President McClanahan, folks seem disengaged right now from the process, and at a time where we probably could have snuck something through if we had been engaged, but they seem disengaged. And not to mention with the chatter that we hear about Ronald Greene this week, and a possible indictment maybe looming. We still just seem very much sleepwalking through some of these things.
You know, Eugene, you're spot on. You know, it's just like I say this all the time. We'll sleep through the revolution. You know, the revolution would not be televised. Someone say, but we are disengaged. Look at all the crime that happens in our neighborhood. and no one says anything about that. No one says too much about our school system, how it's failing. I'm so glad that we had somebody from outside to come in and do some different things. But prior to that, man, there wasn't a whole lot said about that. No one said about the poor conditions of our neighborhoods in North Baton Rouge and South Baton Rouge. Nobody talks about that. No one talks about the poor infrastructure here in this city, man. I think they might say that it's been like this. It's going to always be like this through black mayors. We've had a black mayor for the last 12, 16, almost 20 years. And we've evolved so slowly. You would think that we would have a whole lot going for us because we have a majority black city, majority black parish, and a black mayor, black mayors over time. I don't know what's the hang-up from getting us to be a little bit more progressive, but we stuck in this plantation. And I guess Mr. Bobo still has his hand on the reins.
Not Mr. Bobo. Mike, one day you got to explain to me who this Mr. Bobo fella is. I don't think I ever met him.
But you have. You just you put hoodwinked, but you met him.
I didn't know my name.
Right.
But that's a great point. Like, cause when you bring up, we got redistricting coming up, and that's going to be really important in the process of that. And we should get more minority seats out of this. We know what the census data is shaking out, and people are saying, well, it's very difficult to create those districts, right? Well, it wasn't difficult for you to create districts that didn't look like the city, so you've got to find a way to get this done, right? If not, organizations should be lining up to sue based on this, and if you're not, something's wrong. And I have no confidence whatsoever, no matter how many meetings you hold, how many Zoom seminars you do, how many people you bring together, how many folks on your listserv. Right. I have no confidence that this system is going to do the right thing. Right. They're going to be forced to do the right thing in court. That is just how it's going to work out, because that's the way Baton Rouge has always gotten things done, right there in court. So you've never seen it done another way. We're even starting to see some of our attorneys, I believe, come under attack because of it. Because they realize now that we understand that's where you get things done at. So, when you put all those factors together, we seem to create the same pot of heaping mess. But we're often, you brought up the school system, very reluctant to be accepting of outsiders, you know? Yeah. And I know Dr. King, as he traveled the country, there were some places they didn't want him to go, and he never considered himself an outsider. He always said, there's injustice there, so I got to go. Right. But people have told us that we shouldn't accept folks that are from the outside. And
call them troublemakers.
Yeah, and that's not ever been our way. We don't read or look at this stuff, but that's not how we have ever been successful. It's been by bringing in multiple voices and multiple people from multiple different places with multiple different perspectives. That's how our community has always worked. But in recent years, we've been told that that's not the way to go. Although I have been one of those ones making an argument for local hires, and I do believe that we should look more extensively locally in certain positions before we go outside, because you're not sending a real positive message continuing to hire people outside of Baton Rouge that continues to tell our young people when they graduate to leave, right? But in the same sense, that don't mean put a dummy in the role either, just to say they're from Baton Rouge. Right. I don't think that does us any good. So I think there's like you say, structural issues that exist on both sides that sometimes pushes us into this level of chaos. And you mentioned crime, man, as one. Another baby got shot. Yeah. We still living by street codes that don't seem to be keeping our babies safe. And that's just what it is. But another baby got shot. I know somebody else lost their life, and I'm not negating that. But when we become a community that can't protect our kids, we're in bad shape. Yeah. And that's we're starting to see some of that, President Klein.
You're spot on when you talk about becoming numb to senseless violence. It's almost like it's a way of life. It should not and should never become a way of life for an educated community, for a human community. It should never become just a way of life, a norm. It shouldn't be. We ought to be enraged about all of this senseless killing. I look at it from a black male perspective. what would our future looks like without the black male? Because the black male, we need the black man in the world, period. And in society in today's times, you look at who will train young black boys, who will protect and teach young black girls, who when they grow up to become, who will they marry, who will become fathers to their children. You know, it's real. It's at a critical level right now, and we need to do something about it. Not today, should have been done yesterday. So, you know, if those of you that are listening to our program, we need to do something. You know, I'm more than happy, willing to sit down in the room with Eugene. I think we might have to initiate what stop the violence would look like from here on out. I think it needs to be more than just a every quarter deal. I think it needs to be something that the community, the entire community, comes out from the NAACP, the sororities and fraternities, the community activists, you know, the organizers, you know, the faith-based community, the universities and colleges, everyone, these K through 12s, everyone needs to be at the table doing something right now. So I'm more than happy. The NAACP is more than happy to spearhead this, but we need to do it now because at some point in time, this crime will come knocking at your door.
Eventually, President McClain, I want to play devil's advocate to that just a tad.
Right.
And I'll get your perspective on this. Like, because crime, you look at crime in underserved communities across this country is increasing. Violent crime is increasing all over the country, right? So it's not just here. If you look at the data from Miami, you look at the underserved areas, you're probably seeing similar trends. Chicago, similar trends. And, you know, places where there's high level of poverty. So how much of that is attributed to poverty? And then the other aspect of it is that, you know, when we see this violent crime, this isn't like violent crime that we've seen in the past. Like, and I don't have the numbers with me. So for those of y'all that are taking notes out there on how much we get wrong, but you know, there seems to be a ton of shootings happening in cars and homes, which doesn't speak to random shootings, right? When you see somebody getting shot in a car and house, that's somebody that those folks were looking for, which speaks to another element of crime that possibly we haven't really seen here in Baton Rouge. And they got some organizations that are out doing some great things around crime prevention, right? You got the Power Coalition that's doing some really good things with their gun prevention program. You have the Baton Rouge Street Team led by Soteria Tate and Ms. Liz Robinson that they're doing some really good things around violence prevention. Ms. Porter in-house here with the Community Collaboration Team. They're doing some good things, right? It's not that folks aren't out there trying. That's why when folks say, well, where's the NAACP or where are these organizations when murders happen? We don't get to respond to these social media posts because our organizations are typically on the streets. Right? So it's not that people aren't trying. It's not that people don't care. I don't think we really know what we're dealing with. And what do we do about that?
And you're right. That's why, you know, from not from a scholastic viewpoint, from a person who's been on the street who's been a product of a crime, you know, we have to put all those entities in the room because you're right. We don't know because the crime has evolved. You know, you got a lot of these cats, man, that have more money than the bank, man, that's still committing these crimes, right? You know, it becomes a way of life. Becomes like, well, where we used to say like, man, I don't like you anyway, and that was just in my mind. But now it goes from my mind to a gun or to a bullet. There's a whole lot of factors that come into play. But I would be interested. I'd love to have a person sit down and you know, just discuss. We need to have roundtable discussion because there's no one single thing that would solve it because it didn't happen last night. Today it evolved, and I think there's no single bullet. But I think collectively we can make something happen. I think we can turn it around. We need to because before it's too late. Because you're talking about a black man becoming extinct.
Yeah,
and we don't do something about it. But the other thing you talk about before we get too far down the road, Gene, was redistricting. I want to kind of go back to that because, you know, no matter, you know, people talked about, I gave you the numbers about who came out to vote on yesterday in the city court race, 11.9%. You know, we talk about redistricting means that there may be opportunities for us to get additional seats, additional legislative seat, majority, minority seat, that is, House seat, congressional seat. You know, we have one black congressman. We have an opportunity to get two. But all of that hinges on persons coming out to vote. Let me be candid. Black folks getting up and coming out to vote. No matter how much you and I protest in the streets, in the legislature, but we protest so a vote can happen. A vote needs to take place somewhere so that policies can be changed that would be beneficial to us. Policies and procedures, laws need to be changed. That's why we encourage you to vote at all times. So you have to vote. And then the other part to that is that there are some incumbents that look just like us, Gene, that want to protect the status quo. They want to protect their seat. They think this is their seat and their seat for life. But, they don't see the big picture. We're fighting so that we don't want to only have, 39 senators. I think there are state senators and maybe 5 or 7 black, however the number is. We can get another state senator, right? And we can get another state representative, especially here in Baton Rouge, right? So we're fighting for that. We can get another congressional seat. We're fighting for that. But the other part to that is we need persons to vote. Power never concedes power. You look at these rural areas. My members, we was on the call at our last end of the year meeting on yesterday. They're telling me they walk into these municipalities, these rural municipalities, and persons already got the maps drawn. And when they start talking about, hey, I have a map that's drawn. Let's see how your map matches up with my map. And they say, what are you talking about? And trying to hush them up. But they don't know we coming. Eugene, we coming. We have the best lawyers this side of heaven. We have the LDF, the Legal Defense Fund, prepared to file a lawsuit in any municipality that we can because we have the law on our side. And so, outside, the other part to that is not only we creating seats, but we have to have persons to fill these seats. So we need to start vetting and talking to persons because we want persons that could get in these seats and hit the ground running. We want persons that know that when you get in these seats, that you're fulfilling an obligation. You have a duty to the community that elected you to continue to push the agenda that you were elected on. So, we have to do something, man. We have to do something. So I'm excited to know that we still have elections coming up because no one said the end of elections was there yesterday. Elections are still here, and we have the opportunity to engage persons around voting.
Amen, amen. And yeah, and we got to keep trying and keep pounding it. But, I ain't going to lie to you. When folks say they don't vote and they tell you the reasons why, it ain't like they lying.
Yeah.
Like that stop sign still hanging. The red light been broke.
That's right.
So when they give you the reasons, it's not like they lying. And we got to find a more creative way to combat that because change doesn't happen if we don't vote. We know the crime thing. We talked about that a good bit here today, but when we see the babies dying, that's a rough one. We got to do something more to protect these kids. But understanding that this crime looks a little different than what I saw 10 years ago. These ain't random drive-by shootings. This ain't anybody catching a stray bullet. This seems like very targeted individuals and targeted sentences, and that really speaks to something else. And I see, SU, Southern University, got a new football coach up there. I think it's a great hire.
Oh yeah,
I think it's a great hire. It wasn't the big splash hire that I know some of you Southern Knights hope for. But I thought it was a great hire. Stability, and I've had an argument with some friends. We debated the topic a lot. And if you familiar with Coach Dooley, he's a good ball coach.
Oh yeah,
he's a ball coach, and I think y'all gonna have to be patient with that boy. Because Dion got some boys coming in, and I know Hugh gonna have some boys coming in. But I think eventually, and I heard rumors that Kevin Sumlin was down in meeting with Prairie View, so he might have a Kevin Sumlin at Prairie View. But I think eventually that's going to bring more talent to the SWAC overall, and the talent will eventually balance out, right? Because you will have players that want to come over there. But so in the same sense, man, y'all don't give Dooley no year or two. Y'all know how y'all Jaguars are, man. Y'all better go up there and win, or we're gonna get y'all up out of here. You don't get no 2-3 years around here. You got about a year, we're gonna get you out of here. Brian Kelly might find out the hard way. LSU don't mind paying you, get rid of you.
You ready?
They don't
Right.
mind. Y'all pick a win, baby.
Go in the hole, man. Try to pay.
You better win in Baton Rouge.
But you're right. You're talking about SWAC athletics, and the bigger picture for us. I remember years ago, Gene, probably about 20, 30 years ago, a white gentleman asked me, Mike, would Southern ever beat LSU? I said, yeah. Give us the black players that y'all took from us 30, 40, 50 years ago. We'll not only beat you, but we'll beat you with your mom and dad on the team too. And, so that goes to show you, man, that they understood how, black players, what black players did to their programs. And that lessened the talent pool for kids that would normally come to an HBCU. Normally, they're not there now. So now we got the fourth, third, and fourth and fifth string person on the high school team coming to Southern. But Coach Dooley is a good hire. He comes with a winning track record. He took Prairie View. Prairie View a couple of years ago, man, was probably laughing. It was Prairie View, Texas Southern. One of those schools was laughing. Prairie View, I know, was a laughing stock. And so we just want him to come in. He knows the program. He knows the terrain here at Southern, and go ahead and win. And now Grambling hired Hugh Jackson. Was a coordinator, offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, over for Cincinnati. So he's coming in with pedigree, and I'm excited about SWAC football. I've always been excited. I remember as a high school kid over up in Natchitoches, North Louisiana, and Natchitoches played Alcorn one time, man, and we went to the game, man. You talking about, man, people everywhere, but to see how SWAC was represented, and I think at the time Bobby Abrams might have been the quarterback at Northwestern, man. So he was slinging that ball, man. But Alcorn back then had some NFL talent too, man. It was a good game, man. I'm telling you.
Steve McNair, all them boys.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Deion is doing, man, because Deion opened his door. Yeah. And then I know the argument can be made that Doug Williams perhaps opened his door a little bit while ago, and then Deion is just kind of kicking it off the hinges. But what you're seeing right now is almost some type of revolution within black college football, which is really cool to see. Like, because if they keep this up, they'll compete with one of those bigger leagues. I ain't gonna say it's gonna be the SEC in 5 years, but they keep going. They're gonna be consistent competition amongst some of these bigger leagues. And for black college football, for organizations like the NAACP, like that should excite you to see that. And then you're starting to see some of the trickle down effects in other sports like basketball, right? So it's really, really cool to see. Now, I will say this, to play devil's advocate just a tad, our facilities have to catch up. The weight rooms have to catch up. The programs have to catch up. That stuff has to catch up, right? Because kids go on campuses and see that, and the kids don't understand always the importance of just going to a black college, so they're going to need to see the Poway stand and all of that stuff. So we some of that stuff needs to catch up. I ain't saying everybody. I ain't saying that exists in Southern for y'all be calling me. But all I'm saying, overall, the facilities have to catch up if we want to continue to see these higher level recruits go back to black college football.
You're right, man. You're right. And I think at Southern they're catching up. I think we have some programs. I think the students are biting into it. The administration has always been, because we have student athletes. You don't come to Southern. I'm almost 100%. You used to be, I know for sure. They required you to in fact go to school. I remember when I was at Southern, we had some athletes in my classes, man, and they were no diners. They were smart. They raised their hand, asked questions, at the same time, man, and they were preparing to go to, them combines, but they were a student athlete. So we want the student athlete, man, no matter where they go, where they are. If they're black students, man, they need to understand they take advantage of the education you're going to get at these white institutions and learn and go off, because everybody can't play pro ball. but everybody have an opportunity, man, to make some money out of this society.
Yeah, that's spot on, President McClanahan. So, President McClanahan, I see you got the holiday season on there next. I know it's Christmas coming up. We done passed Thanksgiving, then New Year. It's gonna be happy for some of y'all and unhappy for some of the rest of y'all. Like President McClanahan always say, some of y'all brought the devil in here with y'all. But I know you want to say some things about the holiday season coming up, President McClanahan.
I'm always excited, man. It takes much to get me excited, man, because I know what truly what God has done for me, what persons, man, have done, who were real, genuine, and so this is an opportunity for persons to give. A lot of times people don't give until this time of year, and don't get caught up in, well, I don't have, because if you give, you watch how it comes back to you. There's somebody that doesn't have the means, the resources that others may have, but give of yourself, man, because, I do know and I do understand that Jesus is the reason he came down to give. So why can't we give? A lot of us have the means and the resources, and we hold it with it, and when we take it with us to hell, because you take, a lot of us so low down and dirty, I don't know where you're going. I'm not the judge, but wherever you're going, you can't take it with you. I never seen a U-Haul following behind a hearse. It ain't going to work. So give, man. Sometimes, the person that you give may be somebody that you love, or somebody that you can love. So give, but also while you're giving, watch out for the COVID-19. Watch out for the COVID. It's still out there. I read, and my wife is a COVID virus expert. She can tell you all the ins and outs, and I'm telling you, it is running rampant, man, in our community. So if you hadn't gotten vaccinated, get your vaccine. My little grands is the day where I cutting grass, but they were late coming to my house to help me cut my grass because they were getting vaccinated. They little kids, teenagers, early teens, preteens, and they were getting vaccinated. So they was excited to tell me about that. But we need to do more about getting vaccinated because it's saving lives. The Delta variant is out there, and Omicron is out there. How you going to continue to fight that unvaccinated? It's just like playing Russian roulette. I'm one man that take risks. Some risks I just don't need to take. So if I see it, all the almost 1 million people that have died from these viruses, man, I just don't need to take that chance because my luck is bad. I can tell you that, Gene. My luck is bad. If I go to the Walmart line and ain't nobody in the line, the minute I get in, the line breaks down. They got to get taped. They need to get a supervisor to come do something, all that kind of stuff, Gene. So if you all out there, please get the vaccine. Go to your pharmacist or go to these places that give free vaccine. Get vaccinated. It does, in fact, save lives.
Yeah, I was in New Orleans for Friday for the state championship game for Southern Lab. And they're so serious about checking your vaccination status down there. Like, every door that you go to, they were basically asking to see that card. Now you had the LA wallet, so you just pulling up your phone. But it was cool to see that we're taking it serious in some places. And Mike, I think that leads us right into we had multiple area schools win the state championship in football. We had Southern Lab won their game against what that was Wichita. Washita Catholic School. Then you had Zachary High. Shout out to Leo Montgomery. I know he's been on social media talking about it since. But Zachary High also captured the state championship, as well as U High won the state championship. And I'm missing somebody. I think it was Catholic High. But congrats to all of the local teams here in Baton Rouge that won the state championship. It looks like Baton Rouge is slowly becoming that football powerhouse again here.
Right.
Everybody winning. And they winning the big chip. They ain't winning in the playoffs, right? So congrats to all of those boys. And the one near and dear to me, Jordan, up there at Southern Lab. Congrats, y'all. Great season. President McClanahan, any closing thoughts?
Gene, we want to congratulate those young men. The coaches that take out of their time, man, to continue to pour into the lives of somebody else's child. Takes all of that to make it work, Gene. Mm-hmm. And so our hats off to those coaches and to those players who got the field, man, because they're student athletes. To those student athletes that said, I'm going to do good in school so I can play on Fridays and play in the big games down at the Superdome. So hats off to you. But also, Gene, I'm going to end it list. You know, this is we said this is the giving season. I want you to give because there's a word to give and it should be added unto you. But give to the NAACP. We talk about organizations, talk about people that go above and beyond. The NAACP does, and so we have a text to give, a campaign that goes on. So I want you all to text NAACPLA to 99,000. That's text NAACPLA to 99000. Text that because everything that you give comes back to you because you have persons fighting just for you. No justice?
No peace, no peace. Now, you've been here today with the NAACP presidents here on WTQT 106.1, the baddest gospel station in all the land. And up next here, we got a listener drop by the one and only Dr. Ernest Johnson here. He be doing them drops himself, y'all. So y'all give him a shout out. But you've been here with the NAACP presidents here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, WTQT 106.1. Talk to y'all next week.